This voice over here beside me, that is the man, the myth, the legend, the owner, the creator, my boss sometimes, one time a month, from Cycle Source Magazine himself. I'm going to call him the producer tonight, but this is Chris Callan, everybody.
Thank you. You guys having a good time in Sturgis, man? You know, everybody says like, oh, bro, you got to be there for the anniversary. This is the 79th anniversary of Sturgis right here.
Yeah, and like, you know what
I mean?
It's always the big thing about the 5-year, 75th, and next year's the 80th. But like, if your smart money's out there, then you're doing the 79th and the 81st. Yeah. Less people, more fun.
Now there's good crowds. There's good crowds like tonight.
Oh yeah.
Tonight's gonna be a packed house here, dude. It's gonna be crazy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So basically, if you guys don't know what's going on here, this is the INSLIDE Line podcast. It's all about flat track racing. So we've got some of the best people in the world right here with you tonight. And we're going to talk to them. So, Chris, you didn't go to the race. You're the busiest man in Sturgis. You didn't go to the race of the Buffalo Chip last night. Let me give you a little quick recap on what happened.
Please.
Okay, so the Buffalo Chip TT. How many of you guys were at the Buffalo Chip TT last night? Anybody out there? Just my racer table? Okay, way back in the back, that's what I'm talking about. So basically, the Buffalo Chip TT is the only race in the world that you can accidentally go to. It's right in the middle of the amphitheater. After the race, they take all the track down, they have a concert. It's good times there.
And it's brilliant. It really is.
It's amazing. Somebody's stumbling around drunk from their campsite, and they're like, oh shit, there's a Harley in the air.
That's a race.
Yeah, so here we go. So they were gifted with a huge rain shower, and what that allowed was the track to have enough moisture in it for some pretty good racing. It's a tight track. It's hard to pass there, as we're going to talk to everybody tonight about. They all raced it. Brad Baker on deck here. He's the kind of the riding coach for the Indian Factory team, so he's going to talk about what he thought. But so the main rundown here is you missed a hell of a show. Last corner, last lap pass for the Twins main event.
I know, dude. And it killed me because I was right on the other side of the wall. I was at the Lichter deal, and I'm watching the racers fly through the air, and I'm like, would you please just hurry up? I could catch this.
Oh, yeah, because you're a famous bike builder. I do forget. Lest I forget that you're a famous bike builder. I'm sorry. So without further ado, we're going to bang on former Grand National Champion, the Bullet himself, Brad Baker. How you doing, Brad?
Pretty good, Tyler. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me. It's always a blast to be in Sturgis.
I mean, you're a man of many talents. Former Grand National Champion, multiple race winner, Indian Factory team riding coach, if you will, commentator. I mean, what did you see last night that I missed?
I had the best seat in the house being a commentator. We were up there on the perch right next to the stage, could see everything other than like a little bit of turns 1 and 2. It was, like you said, it was tough to pass last night. It's a fun racetrack to ride. But it's difficult to race. It's a lot of guys that can go fast, but if you don't get off the line and don't make some moves quickly, you can let guys get away. So there was some moments out there, though. I mean, over that jump, they bailed that racetrack basically the week before the race. Sometimes it's days before the race, and all the rain that we have here this time of year, they try to build that jump, and it's basically building a jump out of mud. So a lot of the riders were saying, it was just almost like a dragon's back going up to it. And you've seen a lot of riders, some of them did go down hard, and luckily nobody got hurt. But you've seen the best of the best riders have some pretty bad moments going over the jump. But luckily everybody held on to it, and it was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, it's obvious for you guys that are out here tonight. Brad was injured in a racing accident, but I don't want to harp on it too much because, man, it's like a whole new life ahead of you and the things you've done. So just update everybody out there, like, how is the recovery going? You just marked your 1-year anniversary from the accident. How is your progress right now?
My recovery is going pretty good. Spinal cord injuries are crazy. It's one of the really worst injuries you can get behind like a brain injury. The neurosystem's crazy. It kind of has a mind of its own of how much you're going to gain back and when you're going to get it. It's really an uncertain prognosis. So that's really the frustrating and hardest part about an injury like this. But I've gained back a lot. It's hard me living it day by day. I don't see the progress as much as like my friends do or my therapists do. But if I think back to where I was a year ago and the things that I couldn't do and the struggles that I had, I've came a long way since then. but I got a long road still to go. But part of the recovery, is obviously regaining function in my body. Another part is just getting back into life and living and having fun. And luckily, I got an amazing support group between my girlfriend, her family, my family, and then my family through racing. I mean, that's the cool thing about motorcycles, period, is that we're really just a big family. And if it wasn't without motorcycles, I want to know, basically almost 100% of the friends that I have, especially my best friends. So without that, they're the ones that help keep me going and get me back into things. And I've been able to get back on a motorcycle and get into some UTVs, some karts, things like that, and still traveling all the races, being a rider coach for the Indian motorcycle racing team for Breyer and Bronson Bauman, who are sitting first and third in points right now. So it's been fun to help those two riders out. Then also this commentating deal has been really cool. It's one thing that I wanted to do past racing when I retired from racing, and I wanted to retire 10, 15 years from now. But damn, wrap it up. Got a guy doing a burnout. Get it, man.
Like I said, this is Sturgis.
We'll see if we can burn that thing off. But see things like this is what you come to Sturgis for.
Right?
But
yeah, but
Quitter.
Yeah. So listen, man, I have a question real quick about the track last night. For us, for the rally attendees, that's fantastic because it's right there. Like, it gives a lot of us an inside look of racing that we never have. But how do the racers actually feel about the track? Is it a pain in the ass? Like, are they like, man, because it's so different from the normal program, right?
These riders are the best riders in the world. So they've all ride motocross for training. They ride supermoto. They ride trails. This isn't something that's like catches them off guard. But riding these motorcycles that aren't exactly set up to do this, and a racetrack that's makeshift, it definitely is a challenge for everybody. So a lot of them, they love it, but they hate it. Say they come in and they know that it's going to be fun to ride, but man, it's so difficult to race, because if you just have one mishap, say a bad start in your heat race, and then you're screwed up for your semi starting position, if you start off bad, it's hard to work your way back up. So that's the hardest part about it. That's why it's difficult to race. It's kind of one fast line, and it's got a lot of turns in it to where there's no straight, short shoots, where there's not a whole lot of opportunity to pass, and you got to be right on somebody's tail and be ready to pounce if there's a mistake, or you got to put your elbows up and move somebody out of the way. But you're making it pretty vulnerable when you do that, because if you try to move somebody out of the way, you're taking a chance of taking yourself out as well. So that's why I say people love to race it, but they love to ride it, but they kind of hate to race it.
Yeah. And your role with the team now, Indian Motorcycles, has been so incredible with you. After your injury, they basically brought you on as an advisor with the team, and you've got two young, hungry, already super successful racers. What advice, for instance, like last night, what did you tell them? What were your words to them besides get a good start?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Obviously Indian motorcycle, not just in racing, but just in street, period. They've made a great resurgence, and they're growing. But within dirt track, they've been dominant for the last 3 years now, and it's continuing on this year. Even though a Yamaha won last night, but the Yamaha, everybody, sorry. But anyhow. Yeah, they've been super dominant. It's been great to work with them still. Obviously, Breyer and Bronson, like you said, two young, hungry racers that have been competition of mine for years. Breyer's winning the points. He's been fairly dominant this year, and then Bronson is sitting third in points and still is kind of a rookie in this class. I think this is his third year, fourth year, but first time on a factory ride and on a good, solid backing behind him. But for me, both of them are good riders. Sometimes if there's nothing for me to be able to tell them what they can improve, I can just give them assurance that they're doing things right. I always had somebody on my team that was a former Grand National rider that everybody second guesses themselves on everything. And if you have somebody that you trust and say, hey, dude, what do you think? I'm doing this. Is this good? And you say, yeah, man, that's working great. Then it's just like a weight lifted off their shoulder. And then they got that confidence going in the race. And I'm commentating, so I got a little bit of an advantage of everybody else on other teams because I got a bird's eye view of what everybody's doing. So I'll see some lines and how people are setting people up on how to pass, so I'll just text them and say, hey, I seen this, or, this line's coming in, or, just give them any advice that I see on the racetrack. Bronson's been the guy that I've helped out a lot more because Breyer, he'd probably be kicking my ass too this year, quite frankly, because the guy's been really good. But but both of them, they've been super thankful for having me involved in their team and helping them out, and that makes me feel good. It's been cool.
I mean, plus you get to hang out with the legend Dave Zanotti.
Yeah, I never had the chance. Dave Zanotti's been in the sport for a long time, and built some Grand National winning and Grand National Championship motorcycles, and he deserves a spot, being the crew chief and main basically engineer behind building these race bikes for Indian Motorcycle. And I never had the pleasure to ride for Dave. He always told me, hey man, you ever need anything, let me know. Fortunately, I always had other rides and things set up, but no, it's been cool. The whole team between S&S Cycle, Indian Motorcycle, Dave Zanotti, the riders, everybody works good together. It makes me, I hit myself in the side because I wish I was still riding for that team because it's set up really good right now.
Yeah. So going into Rapid City, of course, last night was a TT, which stands for Tourist Turismo. If you guys don't know, it is a flat track surface, but to be qualified as a TT, it has one right-hand turn. It has at least one jump in it. But tomorrow, you guys are going to a half mile, and it's a lightning fast banked clay dirt track car track. What advice do you give your guys tomorrow?
The car tracks are different than any other racetrack that we ride. Like you said, they got the TT, which is different than any other, racetrack. Is all other tracks between short track, which is usually like 3/8 mile and below, half mile, then a mile long oval. But like you said, Black Hills is a really fast, high bank track. Usually it's prepared really well to where it's got a consistent line top to bottom, and it's super fast. So I tell the riders mainly, is to keep up your momentum. It's a momentum track. There's not a whole lot of big hairy slides being thrown coming into the corner. You got to run it into the corner deep and keep your wheels in line. You're really like riding on the front tire and keeping the bike rolling, because anytime you step sideways or bust traction, you're losing speed. So if the rider can come into the corner, keep their wheels in line, and be able to keep the momentum around the racetrack, that's usually the fastest way around. But the track changes a lot throughout the night. That's the key to dirt track is chasing the racetrack, because heck, you start in the middle of the day, it's usually hot and dry, and then you get to the night, then it gets water on it, then it gets hooked up, so the team and the rider is constantly, chasing the racetrack. So that's kind of where I come in, is just trying to help them, see things before they actually get out on the racetrack and have to experience it.
So what about as far as setup between the two tracks? Because I mean, you're talking about big race, one day off, big race, right? How much is involved? Like how crazy are the guys going to get the bikes? Because it's going to be a wildly different setup going from that TT track to that wide open.
Now you're absolutely right about that, man. I mean, it's completely it looks like the same motorcycle, other than just not having a front brake on it, because that's another thing on TTs. That's the only track you can run a front brake. All the ovals, you don't have a front brake, but a lot of it you have like a completely different engine setup between camshaft, exhaust, tuning, through the ECU, suspension. A lot of riders will run, a lot more travel for a TT. Sometimes they'll run inverted forks, and then they'll completely flip that around, wheelbase, offset, ride height. I mean, it's a complete different setup. Run a harder tire. There's a lot faster speeds on a half mile like that. So like on the slower TTs and other tracks, you'll run a softer tire because it won't build as much heat. So you'll have to run a higher, a harder compound tire. Gearing. I mean, like I said, it's a completely different motorcycle. So all these teams are literally in hotel parking lots and the pit area,
right.
Anywhere they can right now, flip-flopping their motorcycles around. Some of them are actually putting completely new engines in, because like I said, the whole setup of the combination of the engine is different. So the teams have their hands full today, that's for sure.
So take off the Indian hat, the Indian shirt, all that kind of stuff. Predictions for tomorrow.
Say that again, Tyler. Sorry.
Predictions for tomorrow's race. Who are we
My
watching?
predictions. Indian is going to be on top. I mean, I think that the Vance and Hines Harley Davidson crew could show some good speed tomorrow. I mean, they've showed glimpses of success earlier on, but they'll show a little glimpse of something, and then all of a sudden they'll have a complete bad luck. But really, the Yamahas are good. Actually, one rider that's a non-Indian rider will probably be Brian Smith with the Crosley Howerton Kawasaki. He's gone really good there in the past. They've been doing a lot of R&D on the Kawasaki, so I think that they'll probably have the best chance of competing against the Indians. But it'll be Jared Mees, Briar Bauman, Jeffrey Carver, and pretty much anybody else on Indian that's getting on the throttle.
Yeah, I'm definitely pulling for Brian Smith because he bought me a drink last night in the VIP area. So Brian's got my vote as far as all that goes. Basically, you buy me a drink, you're gonna win. That's the way it goes.
If I'm gonna pick one rider, I'm gonna pick Briar Bauman though, just because he's my boy, and I know that he gets fired up and gets hungry whenever something bad happens, like what happened to him last night. He gets fire in him, and I think especially if it's hooked up tomorrow like it's been like in the past, I think he's going to be going really good.
Yeah. Well, Brad, I know you got to get out of here, but you were a last-minute addition. You kind of came down here by accident, so we threw you on stage. We're going to let you go. Thanks for coming out. Everybody, former Grand National champ, Brad Baker, everybody, the Indian Motorcycles.
Thank you guys very much. Keep on enjoying Sturgis.
Okay, Broken Spoken Iron Horse. We're going to take like a 5-minute break here, switch some things around. We're going to be right back with you with the INSLIDE line. Grab yourself a cold drink. Don't go anywhere. We got a lot of racers to get through here tonight. Stick around.